Welcome to episode 1 of Girls Feet, where we will be discussing the secret double lives of Indian women. And it begins very early on in our lives. And it goes on through life. I know this will sound like a therapy session, but what was your childhood like?
When I was in school till 10th standard, my parents were a little strict. I don't really remember being very open with them, not talking to them about anything at all.
So I'm from a small town, right? There, like, usually parent-child relationships are really formal. You're not supposed to talk about certain things to your parents.
Yeah.
So that was always ingrained in me and also my older sister.
Yeah.
I'm an only child, lived with my parents, grandparents and great-grandmother. Permissions had to be taken for every little thing. Then at some point also it became easy to lie is when I discovered there's a whole life I can live without even anyone knowing.
Aish, you are also an only child.
I am.
Yeah.
My parents were protective, but they were never restrictive. So if I wanted to go on a school trip, I never found like any reason to lie to them because I know the answer wouldn't be like, no, you can't go. The only thing that they wanted to make sure was that I told them everything, all the information, where I was going, who I was going with.
It's like many times I'd be like, why can't I go? And then my dad would be like, because I said. And then I thought that was the default.
The real thing is I actually had a very healthy childhood. Like that's what the word is.
Yeah, can you stop rubbing your well-roundedness in our faces?
Growing up, my parents have always been strict. So it's always been difficult for me to be honest. I felt like my parents, while parenting, didn't know that emotions are a part of that. Crying was not allowed at our house. My sister and I do not cry at home at all. The reason probably why I'm so vocal outside of my house is because I wasn't allowed to be inside my house.
I'm guessing like some of you lied a little to get out of these situations.
Yeah,
And
All the time.
My only problem with this, I've never lied about very widely about the place I'm in. Because in every movie, in every show, everything people get caught because of accident. And I never wanted my mom to get a call being like, I found a lash in Mahabaleshwar. When I told my mom, I'm going to town.
Well, Nirali, guess what? I was going for a sleepover to my friend's place. But instead of going to my friend's place straight to the sleepover, we decided, hey, let's tour the city because, why not? Sadly, there was an accident. Luckily, nobody was injured but me. I remember I was in the hospital bed and I woke up. But the first thought that came to my head was, oh shit, my parents are going to kill me.
yeah. See, this is why I told my parents I am going to Meera Road. And then said Meera Road mein network kharab hai, and then I went to Bangalore. We actually asked a bunch of our viewers and our fans what is the sneakiest thing they ever did to hide from their parents, and we actually have a few answers, so let's have a look at that.
The most craziest and sneakiest thing that I've ever done is that I had to go for Roti's audition, and I had hidden this from all of my family and friends. Although I didn't get selected and I didn't get any call, I just went there for the auditions and came back. But then out of nowhere, I appeared on one of the episodes. Of course, then everyone came to know and I had to tell everyone how I managed to pull this off.
I once told them I'm going to my friend's place who happens to live in the same society, whereas in reality I actually went to another city on a drive with my boyfriend and his parents and then went for lunch and then came back home. All this time my parents thought I was in the same society.
As you guys grew up and as y'all started dating, how did you navigate these things? How did you deal with relationships?
So in my case, it was really frowned upon by everyone. Except the boy and the girl. Like the teachers would hate on it and like rat you out to your parents. And then your parents are gonna f with you. They didn't respond to it positively at all. And now I feel like there is no merit in me telling you any truths.
And now do they
So now I am very selective about what I tell them, and now whenever they're like, koi hai to bata do, I'm like, no, when I did tell you about it, you were not, like the reviews weren't favorable on that road again.
Tell them eventually.
I would have to, I'm hoping,
They have a
but
secret family.
So about that, like you are bi, and you've spoken about that as well.
Yes.
How did your parents react to that? Did you have to like hide it from them? And
I have luckily not had to be beaten up for my sexuality, which a lot of young people my age have to deal with. But I feel like this one thing is so central to me that I cannot hide it.
how many of y'all used Tinder or like dating apps over here? All of you?
I use not at all. Yeah.
Before Tinder, you wouldn't even know how to date because it's so difficult to be dating as a queer person because there's no identifier. Like, it's not written you're queer, right? Like, and sometimes you hit on straight people and they're just like,
I mean, I personally do feel like I'm taking charge of the fact that I've been single for so long.
Yeah.
And that's great. Like, generally, before Tinder, I would just wait it out, you know, for someone to just come along.
Someone to sweep you off your feet.
Exactly.
Someone's sherwani dupatta will get caught in my lega dupatta.
I guess exactly that. So it's good that I've taken like charge of my dating life, and like I've dated like in the past 1 year. I've gone on many dates that in comparison to like just before Tinder. So yeah, that's good to just like experience that, I guess, and like have control.
We've discussed all of our parents' protective behaviors and our families, our extended families, society's protective behaviors to us.
Something that my friend's mom once told my mom, saying, "Tumhari beti, meri beti hai. Don't worry."
And this is because if I tell you about your daughter, then I hope that you tell me about my daughter.
This is also something they would discuss.
That's why they would do
It's
this. Yeah.
Say these networks work out of goodwill only, not to ruin anyone's life.
My parents were never, like, they never had a problem with me wearing like skirts and dresses. I was never stopped, ki, like, no, you're not wearing that and going out. But whenever I would step out, my parents would always be like, at least cover up. Like, wear a pant till you get out. Once you're in the car or at the venue, then change. Because हमारे घर में ठीक है, but society वालों के घर पे it shouldn't go. And also, like, let alone parents. Like, for me, even being in the lift with someone from my society wearing a skirt would be awkward because I know they are looking at me and judging me.
Dude, I have the story. So I went looking for houses, and then this one really old lady showed me a house. And then she asked me like, what do you do and all. And I said, I'm a journalist because I work in the media. And she's like, so you must come home very late. And I'm like, yeah, ho jata hai, kabhi der ho jati hai. She's like, then I can't, because then you'll come late, so some boys will come to drop you. And if they come to drop you, you will be polite and bring them home. And that I can't allow.
She is being very presumptuous.
This is a lot. I have no friends, auntie, first of all, but yeah, she just, basically this landlady just called me over to deny me the house and say that because of your career and your job, and you will come home late once in a while, I will not give you a whole house.
and you are aurat.
And I'm a woman, and I got to hear that from a woman also, so that was also lovely.
On that note, we're going to take a short break right now. See you after the break.
कहाँ? क्यों? किसके साथ? और कौन आ रहा है? वो क्या है ना बेटा? We trust you. We just don't trust the world. Have you ever cancelled plans because मम्मी नहीं मानेगी? Have you lied and gone away but spent the whole time being tense because मम्मी phone करेगी तो? Have you spent a lot of time looking for a quiet place to talk on the phone क्योंकि मम्मी का phone नहीं उठाया तो मर जाऊंगी? अब बस. All you have to do is download the Save Myself app available on iOS and Android क्योंकि माँ से तो सबको बचना है. बस फिर when you have finally been called for a risque plan and आपको लगता है कि धरती अंबर एक होने पर भी आपको परमिशन नहीं मिलने वाली, तो activate the Save Myself app and you'll never be in trouble again. Ascharyachakiत, I'll explain. When you join our plan, all you have to do is get yourself to our nearest studio, record some lines in your voice, and don't worry, we record some extra words just in case your mom is feeling chatty at the most inconvenient time.
किसने बोला? गुप्ता आंटी ने बोला?
We also offer services in other languages.
मिशी करती है.
आमी हागची.
हागुचू.
Hold on one second. Looks like we're getting a call.
10 बज गए, where are you?
Just finishing my project.
खाना खा लिया?
हाँ,
क्या खाया?
palak, paneer.
There's an 85% guarantee of you not being slapped.
Save Myself solutions are subject to gossip risks. Please cover all bases carefully before lying.
Hello, beta.
Palak, paneer.
तुम ठीक तो हो?
Palak, paneer.
क्या हो गया
Palak,
मेरी बेटी
paneer.
को? सुनिए जी.
Palak, paneer. Palak, paneer. Palak, paneer. Palak.
Welcome back after the break. We're still here. Yeah, sometimes parents are just like peer pressured into treating you like shit. So how many of you actually think it's fair for them to be protective?
So I think it's okay to be protective, but not restrictive. I think parents need to draw a line there and like not stop their children from having experiences just because they think that they can't think for themselves.
Yeah.
For me, it's crazy to even think that a lot of people here had to filter out their thoughts just because they didn't want their parents to know certain things through this video.
It's not that crazy actually because we are in the real world and we still have to go back to our families and talk to them.
It's not like a double life you're leading. What?
It doesn't really stop at any point. Like I'm trying to think at what point do I get to be 100% this version of myself in the world.
Yeah.
And honestly, never. It's never gonna happen.
Yeah, exactly. Like I've had friends of mine who got married. A lot of friends of mine got married, and they're like, oh, the thing is like now I have to deal with 2 families. I have to deal with my.
So now I'm hiding shit with my sasural and then spilling the tea with my Micah and then it's
sometimes hiding stuff from your own partners.
and your own partners. Yeah.
Also, I understand parents being protective because somewhere they grew up with this is what they saw as parents. This is how their parents probably they were much worse.
I don't think it's just the matter of trust. It's also what is happening in the world. Like they read news, they watch shit going down. And it's fair to some extent.
I get like what Shreya's saying, that she understands where they're coming from, which even I do. Like we spoke about pressure on them from the society also, which shouldn't be a real concern, but it is India. Like it will take.
We live for like log kya kahenge is too big,
and it will take time for them to evolve out of it.
I mean, even when I joined BuzzFeed in the first year, is a joke that everyone would kind of make is like I'm 2 different people at home and outside, which is why last year I had finally sat down with my parents and I was like, this is the deal is that I have the need to be another person at home and you don't even know who I am. And after a lot of mature conversation and almost no yelling, it's possible, I just want to let everyone know, I convinced them to let me move out of my house in the same city, but literally the first weekend we went on a work trip and I didn't drink before because I was literally like, what am I running away from? I'm not rebelling against anything. If I want a drink, I can have one at home.
I think communication is a beginning. It's not something we'll always have the strength to do. It's not something we'll always have the inclination to do, but it's a beginning for sure.
Yeah, and like I foresee some kind of future where my parents are really old and like almost senile. And then I just sit them down and spill all the tea of my life.
And on that note, it's a wrap on episode 1 of Girls. See you next time for episode 2. We are
Girls This is not the final theme song of this show.
So, you may have passed the written tests for the lovely Spy University, but don't think you're through just yet. What's gonna happen now is we're gonna put you through a series of rigorous physical and psychological tests, and only after you pass every single one will you be deemed to be worthy for our deemed to be university.
So let us begin the interview now. Tell me what makes you think you can become a spy.
At age 21, I operated a whole rescue mission in France while sitting in my room in Lokhandwala. My expertise is hacking into bank servers. For fun, I like to remove money from tax evaders' bank accounts and put them in crowdfunding petitions online. I'm highly trained in mixed martial arts and was the ultimate fighting champion in 09.
I'll have to kill you if I told you what I did.
It started at the age of 4, when I told my mom that I'd finished drinking my milk. I lied to her while making eye contact with her. The milk was in the flower pot behind me the whole time. And then I went on and ran this scam for 12 more years, undetected. At age 11, I raised 3 puppies in my room, and my family never found out, undetected. At age 15, I snuck a boy into my room while living with a joint family, undetected. At the age 21, I told my landlord that the girl who's been coming over is actually my cousin. She wasn't my cousin. And I went on to have a 2-year-long relationship with her right under his nose, undetected. At age 25, I really needed to take leave from work because I wanted to participate in a dance battle. All I did was I didn't wear kajal that day, and my boss sent me home. Took advantage of his sexism, undetected. I'm trained in Chhat to Chhat parkour, and my specialty is in doing it so quietly that, pardon me sir, but gali ke kutte billiyon ko bhi pata nahi chalta. I'm so good at not being brainwashed that even after living in this world for the last 26 years, I love my body.
Welcome to the lovely Spa University as faculty.